Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the Legislative Committee. My name is Angelia Kraft, and I'm the Director of the Pitt County Council on Aging. I come before you today to discuss a public health issue that is near and dear to me. This policy is the Older Americans Policy Act. I am want to look at some other programs that will be created to increase the elders' social networking and food programming in my neighborhood. Now, with Americans living longer lives due to healthier lifestyle choices and the advent of advances in medical procedures and preventive care, there is a huge need for more to be done in this older population. Now, this population must adhere to differing nutritional standards. Their nutritional goals changes or as people progressively get older do tend to change. The nutritional guidelines that the Federal Drug Administration has set for the recommended daily allowance for Americans dictates what type of nutrients are required for individuals. Now, people 50 years of age and older, of course, require a bit more, and a vitamin B12 supplement or any other supplements will need to be added to their lifestyle because some of them don't get enough nutrition due to various things such as their income or other things such as that. There is an Older Americans Act that gives older Americans access to nutrition via programs such as the federal program called the Meals on Wheels. Now, these types of meals are transported directly to these senior Americans. They don't have to worry about transportation to food sources. Many older Americans are on fixed incomes. They sometimes must pick and choose between having a nutritional meal or not having enough funds for medication or housing. This program is designed to lessen the effects of famine and nutritional instability, foster being around their own social network, and increase their conditioning. It also keeps these older Americans from having adverse health disparities. Now, older Americans can possibly become stricken by some sort of illness, but before this happens, there needs to be viable solutions for this geriatric population, hence why I'm here today. One area that will need to be revisited is the Medicare, Medicaid, and Affordable Care Acts. I realize that Democrats back the Affordable Care, but maybe all political parties come together and formulate a viable solution to sustain this older population. Now, in 1965, the Older Americans Act, which was passed because of policymakers like yourselves, there was a saw that there was a deficit in available services, and the aging were directly affected. Now, this policy is enacted with the inception of the Older Americans Act. There has been data that supports that partaking of these needed nutritional programs are a healthy benefit for these Americans. These these group of individuals will also benefit from vitamin supplementation, especially those elders who suffer from multiple ailments and medical conditions and are also taking a host of medications. These individuals also may show an accurate portrayal of benefiting from this program. If Older Americans Act is reconstructed to include enhanced nutritional classes or maybe even a horticultural program to enable these elders to grow their own nutritional food sources, these sources can take place in the existing community developments, or we can construct new developments. There needs to be continuing or further information gathering from Health and Human Services workers on these Americans' behalf to enforce the needed changes. More funds need to be released so this change can occur without extra revenue. Change will be hard pressed to occur, but it can happen with just a few policymakers like yourselves willing to see a change occur. The cost of having a communal elder center per the Older Americans Act, which is best federal legislation available for the older American population. there's a hefty price tag of 2.06 billion that has been allocated for the Older Americans Act. 380 million has been scheduled for services that are in individual communities per the Congressional Research Services 2008. The services that will be made available to these senior populations include that and are not limited to home-based nursing assistant, healthy and wellness screenings, and assist to community senior services organizations equal to about $10 per older American. The Meals on Wheels program is also a needed program that is also included in the program's financial response. This also equals to about $27.33. That's per older American. The federal government's financial obligations for older Americans can begin at $70,700,000. I do realize, ladies and gentlemen, that this number has been set apart for older Americans, but the population is worth it. If Health and Human Services personnel aren't educated on older Americans programs offerings available to this population, they will not have adequate services. They will not be adequately servicing these individuals. There are also many resources and programs out there that will be a great assistance to many elders. Policymakers need to first educate themselves and really read and comprehend the proposed policy legislation so that they can be better educated so they can educate the public as well. Other barriers can also include lack of staff, peer and organizational support, interest, payer sources, policy advocates, experience, knowledge of not believing that the policy is feasible. With the inception of the Older Americans Act, there has been data that supports partaking of these nutritional programs as healthier. They also benefit the supplementations, especially older Americans who suffer from a host of ailments, and taking a host of pills may not show the adequate portrayal of benefiting from the program. When older Americans neglect their required nutritional intake, they become feeble and frail, which sets them up for broken bones and other health issues that may interfere with their activities of daily living. This in turn interferes with the older Americans' independence. As quoted by Mara M. and Wellman N., if as a nation we are serious about enabling older Americans to remain in their homes and communities and enhancing their quality of life, food and nutrition cannot be taken for granted and corrected by a one-size-fits-all pill, a quick fix. As you all may or may not know, as included in the 1972 Amendment to Older Americans Act, which was changed to include a food curriculum, many older Americans are poverty-stricken and have socioeconomic issues. I would hope that once you have reviewed the content of this policy for older Americans, the voters located in all precincts should place themselves in the footpath of older Americans. We all, at least I hopefully, will be a part of the Older Americans Act. We would hope adequate resources may be made available to all to seek it. Legislators, I would like for you to consider all of these issues that have been presented to you today. How important are your older American population to you? Are you willing to assist these people who have offered so much to civilization over their lifespan? I have presented a great deal of information to better serve this population of older Americans to ensure that continue to receive the dignity and respect that it deserves. The older population or individuals who have reached the age of 65 age or above are indicated per United States Census Bureau 2010 amounted for 38.9 million people. There will be an increase of 10 million people in this age group by 2030. The population is going to need a great deal of services made available to them. These programs and services can include, but are not limited to, medical assistance, socialization, mental health. If there were more senior citizen services centers available that these individuals can gather and get nutritional support and nutritional meals, arts and crafts and games, as well as valuable education and such things as electronics and education, or information on what medicinal amenities are available to them. Thank you so kindly for your time, your energy, and your commitment to effective policy change for the Older Americans Act. Again, thank you so kindly for your time. Have a great day.